I used to think betrayal would come like a sudden explosion, loud, violent, unmistakable. Turns out, sometimes it creeps in like a poison, slow and silent, until you're already dead inside. It was a Wednesday night when it all unraveled. I'd gotten home earlier than usual from a last-minute canceled meeting. My wife, Olivia, was upstairs, taking a bath, or so she said. I noticed her phone buzzing like crazy on the kitchen counter. A message popped up, group chat, without Matthew. At first, I thought it was some stupid group between her and her girlfriends talking trash about me. Curiosity stabbed me harder than guilt ever could. I picked up the phone. One swipe, one glance, and my world stopped breathing. Inside that group chat were 3 people: my wife Olivia, my mother, and my father. The people I trusted more than anyone else. They weren't just trash-talking me. They were planning an ambush. A complete takeover. Of my business. Of my house. Of my kids. I stood there frozen, reading lines that might as well have been knives to my throat. Once Matthew leaves for Miami, we'll file the documents. He won't know what hit him. Don't worry, Mom. I'll make sure he's too busy. I'll distract him. He's too naive. Always has been. Olivia, make sure you get that paper signed before he leaves. It's better if it looks voluntary. My mouth went dry. My fingers trembled. Every word another betrayal. Another slab of cement poured onto my chest. I scrolled deeper into hell. They had already filed the court documents. Custody papers. Property claims. Even power of attorney forged behind my back. Tomorrow, I was supposed to leave for a 3-week business trip. They were planning to serve me while I was gone. Strip me of everything I built, everything I loved, while I sat helpless on a plane across the country. And the worst part? The screenshots Olivia sent them privately. Photos of her cuddled up with some guy I didn't even recognize, half-naked, tangled in hotel sheets. Laughing, mocking me. He has no idea, she wrote. Honestly, he's such a joke. I deserve better. I can't believe I wasted years on that fool. Each sentence cut deeper than the last. Not just betrayal, contempt, hatred, disgust. Like I was some pathetic piece of trash she had to put up with until she could cash out. I almost smashed her phone against the wall right then and there. But I didn't, because something inside me snapped into something colder, sharper, meaner. I wasn't going to rage. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't even going to cry. I was going to destroy them. On my terms. Quietly. Perfectly. I copied everything, screenshots, messages, court documents, into a hidden folder. I contacted the only man I trusted more than blood, my lawyer, Daniel. Told him everything. Told him to prepare the counterattack. A real one. The kind you don't come back from. By the time Olivia finished her bath, I was already sitting at the kitchen table, smiling like nothing happened. Like the knife wasn't already being sharpened behind my back. Like I wasn't planning to bury it straight into their hearts. Hey, babe, she purred, kissing my cheek with those lying lips. You excited for Miami tomorrow? I packed your bags for you. I smiled back at her. God, it took everything in me not to spit in her face. Not to scream about the photos. Not to ask her how the guy she was grinding on last night tasted compared to me. Instead, I kissed her forehead. I'm so lucky to have you, I whispered. And I meant it. Because the monster she unleashed was about to end her. I spent that night pretending. Pretending to sleep. Pretending to dream. Pretending not to notice the sly glances she gave her phone. Pretending not to notice the new perfume she only wore around that new business associate. Tomorrow was supposed to be the day they stole everything from me. But tomorrow, Matthew was going to flip the damn script that I barely slept that night. Not because of nerves. Because of the fire. The kind that burns so deep inside your ribs, you wonder if it'll ever go out. At breakfast, Olivia acted like the perfect little wife. Pouring me coffee. Making me eggs the way she knew I hated. Just to piss me off quietly, the way she always did when she thought I wasn't looking. Fake smiles. Fake laughter. Fake everything. I watched her with new eyes. Not as my wife, but as the enemy. A polished little liar in silk pajamas, feeding me breakfast while planning to steal my soul. She chattered about how proud she was of me traveling for business, how lonely she was going to be. I nodded along, pretending to be distracted by emails. Inside, I was memorizing every twitch of her face, every calculated blink, every fake giggle. I could see it now, plain as day. The late nights at the office. The sudden girls' trips, where her phone always died for 12 hours. The way she barely touched me in months, but always looked freshly satisfied, skin glowing in a way I hadn't seen in years. All the pieces I ignored because I didn't want to believe the woman I married was a scoundrel with lipstick. Before I left, she hugged me so tight I thought she'd crack a rib. She whispered in my ear, "Be safe, babe. I'll miss you every second." I almost laughed in her face. Miss me? She probably had that slime ball warming up the bed already. Probably had champagne chilling to celebrate how stupid I was. I kissed her forehead again, told her I loved her. Because the plan was already in motion. Daniel had already filed the emergency injunctions, freezing all my assets under my control alone. My private investigator, Tony, was already tracking Olivia's every move. Cameras, phone taps, credit card alerts. She couldn't breathe without me knowing. The best part? The paperwork they filed against me was riddled with illegal moves. Forgery, fraud, conspiracy. My dear sweet family had gotten greedy and stupid, two things you can always count on betrayers to be. At the airport, I didn't board my flight. Instead, I went to a private lounge, ordered whiskey neat, and waited. I watched Olivia's location pop up at a hotel downtown, the same place she used before when she was having meetings. 30 minutes later, Tony sent me photos. There she was, half-dressed, hanging off some wannabe alpha with a gut and cheap cologne. They kissed like horny teenagers. She laughed like she hadn't a care in the world. Like I didn't exist. Like everything we built was just a joke. She finally got the punchline too. And you know what? In that moment, something shifted inside me. It wasn't pain. It wasn't even anger anymore. It was freedom. Cold, pure, ruthless freedom. This wasn't the woman I fell in love with. This wasn't the girl who cried at our wedding vows. This was a snake wearing my last name. And it was time to cut off the head. I finished my whiskey. Checked the time. Daniel's letter would be delivered to her and my parents' front doors in exactly 2 hours. By then, they'd realize everything they thought they stole was legally mine. Every lie, every backstab, every sleazy little plan, all undone in one elegant move. I leaned back in my chair, feeling lighter than I had in years. They wanted war. They should have made sure they could survive it. First point 2 hours later, my phone buzzed. One simple text from Daniel. It's done. I imagined it. The knock at the door. Olivia opening it in her silk robe, expecting flowers from her loser boyfriend. Instead, a fat envelope. Official. Cold. Unforgiving. Inside, the truth. Every document they forged. Nullified. Every asset they touched. Frozen. Every lie they built their little fantasy world on. Collapsed like a house of cards in a hurricane. I didn't have to wait long for the fallout. By the time I finished my second drink, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. First, a call from my mother. Ignored. Then my father. Ignored. Then Olivia. Ignored. Then came the messages. Angry. Desperate. Begging. Threatening. It was glorious. Matthew, what the F*** K did you do? You're ruining everything. Please, just talk to me, baby, please. We can fix this. I love you. You're acting crazy. That last one made me laugh. I'm acting crazy? You planned to rob me blind and toss me in the trash, and now I'm crazy? Beautiful. Still, I didn't answer. I wanted her to sweat. I wanted her to taste the panic she so happily served me. Later that evening, I checked into a different hotel, somewhere nice. Penthouse suite. Champagne chilling in the sink. I wasn't going to hide or run. I was going to celebrate. And just as I popped the cork, there was a knock at my door. I opened it, half expecting Daniel. Nope. It was Olivia, wearing the same bathrobe she wore the day she promised to love me forever. Mascara streaks down her face. Eyes bloodshot, breathing like she just ran a marathon. Matthew, she gasped, pushing past me into the room. Please, baby, just let me explain. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Silent, dead-eyed. She spun around, hands waving wildly. I never meant for it to go this far, she sobbed. It was just talk at first. I was angry. I felt neglected. I stayed silent. Let her squirm. She dropped to her knees, clutching the hem of my shirt like some bad soap opera. I love you, she choked out. I was stupid. It didn't mean anything with Jake. Jake. Finally, a name for the gut in the cheap suit. Jake, the homewrecker. Jake, the pawn. You love me. I finally spoke, my voice calm. Cold. Unrecognizable, even to me. Is that why you were sending him hotel selfies? While planning to steal my business? Her mouth opened and closed like a dying fish. No, it wasn't serious. It was just just a way to feel alive again. You were so distant lately. Blame me. Perfect. Classic Olivia. You signed court papers behind my back? I said, taking a step toward her. You plan to take my kids. You conspired with my parents to destroy me. UF asterisk ked some loser in cheap cologne. And I'm supposed to believe it didn't mean anything? Tears poured down her face. Fake. Forced. Like everything else. Please, baby, she whimpered, crawling toward me on her knees like some cheap drama queen. We can fix this. I'll do anything. Anything you want. Anything. Funny how anything only shows up when the ship is already halfway underwater. I knelt down, looking her dead in the eyes. Here's what I want, I whispered. I want you to leave. Tonight. And never come back. Her face crumbled. She tried to cling to me, but I stood up, walked to the door, opened it, pointed. Out. She sat there for a second, broken and desperate, trying to play the victim. But it didn't work anymore. Not on me. Not ever again. Slowly, shakily, she stood. And for the first time since I met her, Olivia Cooper, the woman who thought she could outsmart me, outplay me, outmaneuver me, looked small, pathetic, exactly what she was underneath the glitter and lies. As she walked out into the hallway, I slammed the door shut, locked it, and cracked open another bottle. The war wasn't over. But the first battle? I won it without even breaking a sweat. When the door slammed behind her, the silence hit harder than I expected. It wasn't peaceful. It wasn't victorious. It was brutal, loud, empty. I stared at the door for a long time, waiting for something. An apology that would never come. A regret that would never be real. Instead, there was nothing but the soft hum of the city outside and the cold champagne glass in my hand. I collapsed onto the leather couch, the adrenaline finally draining out of me, leaving behind something uglier. Not rage. Not relief. Loss. The kind that gut punches you when you least expect it. I thought about every memory with her. The first time I kissed her on that freezing November night. The night I proposed, hands shaking, heart pounding like an idiot. The day she walked down the aisle, smiling like she actually meant her vows. Were any of those moments real? Or were they all just part of her game? Another setup? Another lie tucked under her pretty dress and fake tears? I took a long sip of champagne, trying to wash the bitterness off my tongue. It didn't work. The truth was, I wasn't just mourning a wife. I was mourning the man I used to be. The man who believed in her. The man who trusted people because they were family. The man who thought love was enough. That man was dead now, buried under the weight of screenshots, court documents, and cheap hotel bed sheets. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Olivia. I'm sorry. Please, just talk to me. I made a mistake. We can fix this. I swear. A mistake. That's what she called years of betrayal, scheming, and playing me like a fool. A mistake. Like she forgot to pick up milk on the way home. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Responding would mean she still had power over me. And after everything she did, the only thing she deserved from me was silence. The next few days blurred together. Papers filed. Court dates scheduled. Bank accounts audited. Daniel moved fast. Too fast for Olivia, my parents, or their sweaty little puppet Jake to keep up. Turns out, Jake had a criminal record. Fraud. Embezzlement. Perfect taste, Olivia. Really nailed it with that one. With Tony's surveillance evidence, we had everything we needed to drag them all into court and expose every slimy detail. Custody? Mine. Assets? Mine. Reputation? Theirs, shredded into confetti. And Olivia? She tried everything. Crying outside my apartment at 2 in the morning. Sending me sappy voice notes about our memories. Posting vague Instagram stories about betrayal and forgiveness. Painting herself as the wounded saint. It was almost impressive how she managed to twist the truth even when cornered. Like a rat spinning in circles when the walls closed in. I ignored all of it. Focused on building the new version of my life. Without her. Without the lies. Without the poison. One night, maybe a week later, I got a call from Daniel. He sounded almost giddy. We got the final ruling. Full control over the business. Full custody. She's out. Officially. I hung up. Stared at the city lights from my hotel balcony. The cool wind hit my face, sharper than knives. But it felt good. Real. I wasn't broken. I wasn't beaten. I was free. Free from the weight of pretending. Free from the slow rot of betrayal behind closed doors. And for the first time in years, I wasn't afraid of the future anymore. Because I knew the worst had already happened. And I survived. Stronger, meaner, smarter. I raised my glass to the sky, whispered under my breath, "Here's to the death of the fool I used to be," and drank deep, not to forget, but to remember exactly how dangerous it is to trust the wrong people. Tomorrow, the real fun would begin. Tomorrow, I'd start building something better, from the ashes they left behind. And if Olivia, Jake, or even my own parents ever tried to crawl back into my life, I'd crush them without blinking. The old Matthew was dead. The new Matthew didn't forgive. And he sure as hell didn't forget. The first morning I woke up in my new apartment, it felt like stepping out of a nightmare. The sunlight didn't feel heavy anymore. The air didn't taste like betrayal. For the first time in forever, it was just me. No masks, no lies breathing down my neck. The place wasn't anything special yet. Bare walls, half-unpacked boxes. But it was mine. Every square foot untouched by Olivia's poison. Untouched by my parents' greedy fingerprints. I stood in the kitchen, sipping black coffee, staring out at the skyline, and thought about what came next. Rebuilding wasn't enough. I didn't want to just survive. I wanted to thrive. I wanted to make damn sure they watched me rise higher than they ever dreamed. Without them. First step? Cleaning house at the company. I fired everyone Olivia had ever recommended. Every friend of my father's that wormed their way into cushy roles. Every snake who smiled to my face while sharpening their knives behind my back. It was brutal, swift, necessary. And God, it felt good. Within 2 weeks, the company was leaner, sharper, more ruthless, just like me. Profits started climbing. Clients who had been on the fence suddenly started knocking on my door. Because when the rats fled the ship, the real captains took notice. Meanwhile, Olivia's life was falling apart at record speed. Her little affair with Jake burned to the ground. Turns out, he wasn't so into her once her fancy lifestyle disappeared. She caught him in bed with another woman 2 days after losing the house. Poetic. She moved back into her sister's basement. From 5-bedroom luxury to a moldy mattress and shared bathroom. Fitting. I knew all of this, of course. Tony kept feeding me updates, though I never asked for them. I wasn't obsessed. I wasn't even interested. It was just satisfying. Watching karma finally put in some overtime. The funniest part? My parents were worse off. They had bet everything on taking over my business. Mortgaged their house, pulled shady loans, tried to cash out before I noticed. When the takeover fell through, they were left holding a bag full of debt and a family name no one respectable wanted to touch. Poetic justice doesn't even begin to cover it. One night, about a month later, I got an unexpected call. Blocked number. Curiosity won over instinct. I answered. It was Olivia. Her voice was wrecked. Thin. Small. "Matthew, I know I don't deserve your time. I know I destroyed everything. But please, just hear me out." I didn't say anything. Let her drown in her own silence. I messed up, okay? I was stupid. Greedy. I thought there was something better out there. But I was wrong. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. And I threw it away. Another pause. Sniffling. Begging. I don't expect you to forgive me. I wanted you to know. I'm sorry. For everything. For a moment, I almost felt something. Almost. But then I remembered that group chat. Her laughing at me. Her mocking me. Planning to strip me of my kids, my home, my life. No. There were some mistakes you didn't come back from. I hung up without a word. Blocked the number. Deleted the call. And just like that, she was gone. A ghost. A bad memory fading into nothing. I wasn't the man who needed her apologies. I wasn't the fool who needed closure. I was the man who survived her best shot and kept standing. The man who built a kingdom on the bones of betrayal. And from now on, the only loyalty I trusted came with iron walls and signed contracts. Not blood. Not vows. Not promises whispered in the dark. Only action. Only proof. Only results. And anyone who didn't get that, they had no place in my life. No seat at my table. No right to breathe my air. Not now. Not ever again. Life has a funny way of testing you. Right when you think you've won, right when the enemy's on the floor gasping for air, fate likes to throw one last punch. Just to make sure you're really ready. It came in the form of a letter. Hand-delivered to my office by some sweaty courier who couldn't look me in the eye. The envelope was thick. Official. Dangerous. I opened it slowly, my gut already clenching. Inside, legal documents. Filed by Olivia. A lawsuit. Claiming she was coerced into signing away her rights during emotional distress. Demanding half my business. demanding spousal support, demanding revenge. I laughed, loud and ugly, because of course she wasn't done. Snakes don't stop biting just because you step on their head. Daniel called me 15 minutes later. I saw it. She's desperate. It's a Hail Mary at best. You want me to crush it now, or let her bleed out a little first? I thought about it. Thought about the long nights spent staring at the ceiling, wondering how the hell the woman I loved could turn into something so vicious. Thought about every lie she whispered, every smile she faked, every plan she made behind my back. Make her bleed, I said, and meant every word. We filed a counterclaim so brutal, so airtight, that Olivia's cheap little lawyer probably cried himself to sleep reading it. Fraud, conspiracy, attempted theft, defamation, pain, and suffering. By the time Daniel was done with the paperwork, Olivia wasn't just at risk of losing her lawsuit. She was staring down potential criminal charges. Real ones. Ones that came with prison time. It didn't take long for her to fold. A few weeks later, her new lawyer, someone slightly less dumb than the last one, reached out, practically begging for settlement talks. I refused. There would be no mercy, no deals, no whispered apologies in a backroom. She wanted war. She was going to get dragged across the battlefield until she couldn't even crawl. During those weeks, Tony kept sending me little snapshots of Olivia's downfall. Photos of her walking to the bus stop in the rain, working part-time at some rundown diner, wearing a greasy apron and fake smile, living paycheck to paycheck, while the world she tried to steal from me got bigger, better, stronger every day. Poetic didn't even begin to cover it. Meanwhile, I wasn't just surviving. I was thriving. Bought a new penthouse, twice the size of the old house. Started dating again, carefully, slowly. Women who didn't hide knives behind their backs. Women who smiled with their eyes, not just their teeth. I wasn't rushing anything. I wasn't looking to fill the hole Olivia left. Hell, by now, it wasn't even a hole anymore. It was a scar. And scars are just proof you survived what was meant to kill you. One night, standing on my balcony, looking out over the glittering skyline, I realized something strange. I wasn't angry anymore. Not really. Not in the old way. The way that burns and eats you alive. I had something better. Cold memory. Clear vision. Steel in my blood where trust used to live. And you know what? I liked it better this way. I wasn't naive anymore. Wasn't soft. Wasn't vulnerable. The boy who believed in fairy tales had died. In his place stood a man who understood the truth. Loyalty isn't given. It's earned. And love without loyalty is just a loaded gun pointed at your back. From now on, anyone who wanted a place in my life would have to bleed for it. Prove it. Over and over again. And Olivia? She was just a name now. A lesson. A warning carved deep into my bones. Never again. Never. Just when I thought the storm was finally behind me, Olivia made one last move. A desperate, pathetic move. It started with a knock at the door. Not at my office. Not at some public place. At my new home. My fortress. I wasn't expecting anyone. I checked the security feed. And there she was. Standing in the rain. Soaked. Broken. Clutching a small suitcase like a refugee who lost everything. For a second, my heart hesitated. Not because I still loved her, but because of what we used to be. What we could have been. Before she burned it all down for cheap thrills and dirty motel sheets. I buzzed her in. Not out of kindness. Out of curiosity. I wanted to see just how low she was willing to crawl. She stepped into the elevator, shivering, makeup running down her face. The camera caught her looking around nervously, clutching her suitcase tighter, like she was walking into court. Which, in a way, she was. When she knocked at my apartment door, I opened it slowly. Leaning against the frame, arms crossed, face unreadable. The way she used to look at me when she thought I was too stupid to notice her lies. "Matthew," she whispered. Her voice was ragged, brittle like old paper. "I have nowhere else to go." I said nothing. Let her squirm. Let her explain herself. She looked around, biting her lip. That old manipulative move that once made me weak. Now it just made me tired. She was an actress way past her prime, still playing the same tired role for an audience that had already left the theater. "I lost everything," she said, stepping closer. "I was wrong. About everything. About you. About us." Still, I stayed silent. She was desperate enough to fill the silence herself. "I know I don't deserve it," she rushed out. "But maybe there's still a part of you that remembers who we were. What we had. Before." She trailed off, eyes wide, waiting for me to jump in. To save her. to offer some sliver of hope. I didn't. I waited, because I wanted to hear the real reason she came. And sure enough, it came tumbling out in a rush of breath. "I can help you," she said, stepping even closer. "I know things. About your competitors. About what your father's planning next. I can be useful to you, Matthew. Please." There it was. The truth. Not love. Not regret. Leverage. The only language she ever really spoke fluently. I let out a short, humorless laugh. "You think I need you?" I said, voice cutting through the thick air between us. "You think after everything, I'd let you even breathe near my life again?" Tears welled in her eyes. The real ones this time. The ones that come when you finally realize there's no more cards left to play. "I'm begging you," she whispered. "I have nothing." I studied her for a long moment. Not the woman I married. Not the liar who betrayed me. Just another desperate soul learning that choices have consequences. "No," I said simply, and closed the door, right in her face. I stood there for a second, listening to her sobs through the thick wood. Then silence. Then footsteps fading away down the hall. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel cruel. I felt free. Because forgiveness isn't something you owe to the people who destroy you. It's something you owe yourself, by walking away and never looking back. I poured myself a drink. Toasted the night air. To freedom. To scars. To survival. Olivia was officially part of my past. And my future? It had no room for traitors. No room for thieves in silk robes. No room for sob stories and second chances. Only steel. Only strength. Only the kind of peace you earn by burning bridges so completely that even the ashes blow away in the wind. Weeks passed. Then months. The seasons changed. The world kept spinning. And Olivia faded from my life the way a bad dream dissolves when the morning sun finally breaks through. But the scars stayed. Not in a way that hurt. In a way that taught. There's a certain clarity that comes after surviving betrayal. You stop seeing people the way you wish they were. You start seeing them for who they truly are. And I saw it now. Plain as day. Love, trust, loyalty. They're not free gifts. They're earned. Built. Fought for. Protected by action, not just words. Olivia taught me that. My parents taught me that. Hell, even Jake, that greasy little rat, taught me that. I was no longer the man who gave chances to people just because they smiled the right way or cried at the right moment. That Matthew died on the kitchen floor the night he opened that group chat. The man who stood in his place? Sharper, colder, stronger. Some people called it bitterness. I called it survival. One evening, I found myself sitting on the same balcony where I used to dream with Olivia at my side. Only this time, it was just me. A glass of bourbon in hand. The city lights stretching endlessly before me. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not the fake peace of ignoring red flags. Not the fragile peace of hoping liars would magically change. Real peace. The kind you earn by burning every illusion to the ground and walking through the smoke without looking back. I thought about everything I had lost. Everything I had been forced to leave behind. And for the first time, I didn't feel bitterness. I felt gratitude. Because without their betrayal, I'd still be living a lie. Still be surrounded by snakes, sleeping next to a viper with a pretty smile and a dagger hidden behind her back. Still be the man who believed that love could survive without respect. I raised my glass to the night sky, to the pain that set me free. I whispered, and then I thought about what advice I would give to someone walking the path I had. Someone just discovering that their whole world was built on lies. I'd tell them this. First, believe what you see. People show you who they are. Pay attention. Love isn't about ignoring reality. It's about choosing someone who honors you, even when you're not watching. Second, betrayal isn't about you. It's about them. Their weakness. Their greed. Their cowardice. You didn't fail. They did. Third, never beg for loyalty. Never plead for someone to stay who has already packed their bags in their heart. Your dignity is worth more than 1,000 fake apologies. Fourth, rebuild better. Not bitter. Not blind. Better. Smarter. Wiser. Stronger. And lastly, and this is the hardest lesson, sometimes the people you die for are the ones who kill you the slowest. And that's okay. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. But survival? That makes you unstoppable. I finished my drink. Smiled. Tomorrow is a new day. A real one. No lies. No snakes. No dead weight dragging me under. And when I finally closed the balcony door behind me and walked into my home, truly my home, built by my hands, defended by my will. I knew one thing with absolute certainty. The best revenge was never destroying them. The best revenge was living so damn well that their names became meaningless, forgotten, dust. And I was just getting started.